like a people. You know it's time to stand like a people today. It's time to stand like a people. Stand up and say, no more wondering, we are finally on our way. Our mothers and fathers and elders, they have given us all they can. They stood up and fought to protect us in this hard and bitter land. Their trials must give us courage, every woman and man. None are free unless all are. We pledge our lives to take back our land. You know it's time to stand like a people. You know it's time to stand like a people today. It's time to stand like a people. Stand up and say, no more wondering, we are finally on our way. All they can. They stood up and fought to protect us in this hard and bitter land. Their trials must give us courage, every woman and man. None are free unless all are. We pledge our lives to take back our land. You know it's time to stand like a people. You know it's time to stand like a people today. It's time to stand like a people. Stand up and say, no more wondering, we are finally on our way.
Ashe. Good morning, brothers and sisters. Good morning, my Wose family. Good morning to our Wose community and all of those within the sound of our voice. I hope everyone is feeling blessed because we all are. Ashe. This is the Wose community. And I'd like to take a moment to read what we believe in and what we practice. Ashe. Wose community is a community of the way. The way is M.I.T, truth, justice, and righteousness. We believe in the teachings of our elders and our ancestors, and that the Creator God created the universe and all life, and has placed in each of us a part of the divine spirit. God living in us and through us has given us the right and the power to establish peace and justice in all human life, and true harmony with all of creation. We believe in the living faith of our ancestors. Our way is not merely ritual or belief. Our way is the way of life. Ashe. It is a beautiful day today, and I feel today is special, just like every day is special, in that today we have, I don't want to call it a lineup, but we have some folks coming in who are bringing it based on their spirit and their personality. I want to begin by reading a passage that I think is appropriate for this morning. And this comes out of the book of Prayers and Sacred Praises, page 15 in your Hosea. And it says, blessed is one who sits in the hands of Amun-Ra, for it is he who directs the timid, who rescues the humble and the needy, who gives the breath of life to one whom he loves and grants him or her a long life in the west of Thebes. Oh my God, Lord of lords, Amun-Ra, Lord of Karnak, give me your hand and save us. Shine upon me and sustain me. You are the only God, and there is none like you. You are Ra, who rises in the heavens and who created men and women. It is you who hears the prayers of one who calls on him, who saves a man and woman from the hands of the violent, who makes the Nile rise and flow for those who are in him. Ra is the perfect guide for everyone. Ashe.
Ashe.
And now we want to move into the affirmation. But first, I just want to say this is another one of, like I say, I have so many favorite parts of Wose, and so many favorite parts of this community, and so many favorite parts of our service. And this is one of my favorite parts, is that when I'm able to look at the order of services and we see the youth. We see that the young people stepping up, and that is that's what we look for. That is our future right there. And you know, a little quiet bragging on my part. I got a text message from Aneka, my oldest daughter in Atlanta, saying that my granddaughter was in a gymnastic championship and she scored a perfect 10. I don't care what we're in, if it's academic, athletic, I don't care what. When you come up with the perfect score from, you know, various people, everybody looking and say, you know what, that was great, you know. So and so that lifted my heart. And then this morning I looked and it said the affirmation by the Teasley youth, and that just brought a smile to my face, because they are showing us what that perfect score looks like when our youth step up and lead the way. And with that, I want to bring forth the Teasley youth to share with us our affirmations. Ashe.
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 We will know God's truth to be free and self-determined.
Creator, help us to remember the humanity, glory, and suffering of our ancestors, and to honor the struggles of our elders.
Let us strive to bring new vision and life to our people. Let there be peace and harmony among us.
Let us be loving, sharing, and creative. Let us work, study, and listen so we may learn, teach, and cultivate self-reliance.
Grant us power, O Holy One, as we struggle to resurrect our hearts and our homeland.
We will raise our children according to the needs of our nation, with discipline, patience, devotion, and courage. We will strive to be the living models of the new direction of our people.
We are an African people.
We are children of God.
Ashe.
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 That was beautiful and sweet. Thank you so much, Teasley. You. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You always bring it. You always bring it. We love seeing you. We want to see more of you. We want to hear you sing and pray with us and do affirmations. And we're ready. We're ready for you.
I see.
And you are ready for us and ready for the world. So we're honored.
That's the best reading of that we've had in quite a while.
Ashe, ashe. So now I'll just do a few shout outs this morning. Just a few. We have Brother Hanif is with us this morning. All right. Consummate musician. Sister Oyen is here with us today. Mama Oyen is better way for me to say it. Mama Oyen, yay, welcome, welcome. Brother Damu is here today. We're happy to have you in the house. Brother Wustadi is here today. We're happy he's here. Sister Mona, we saw that she's here today and we're thankful. And Sister Sugar D is here, and Sister Sia, yay, she's in the house. She's in the house. And at this time, I'll go on, and it's time for our Sounds of M.I.T to come on and bring us some musical magic, as they always do. We're so happy they're here today. I say. Sounds of M.I.T. We're excited to see and hear you today.
Good morning, family.
Ashe.
All right.
We have permission to proceed.
Yes, indeed.
Proceed, proceed.
Wait a minute. We changed our background.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
All right, here we go.
You're not hearing that, David.
You can't hear it?
No.
Brother Ty, I promise I did everything I was supposed to.
Go ahead. You still on.
Maybe.
We can hear Latrice, I mean. Actually, Sydney, let's go to the backup.
Oh no, we'll just do it live.
Okay, cool.
Come on with it. We're ready.
1, 2, we know what to do. Living water, holy water, living water, holy water, living water, holy water, living water, holy water.
Come and be with us.
Speak the truth, speak the truth. Good love, right on. Reciprocity, live the truth, be the truth. Good love, right on. Reciprocity.
Come and be with us. Come and be with us.
Living water,
Come and
holy
be
water,
with
living
us.
water, holy water, living water,
Come and
holy
be
water,
with
living water,
us.
holy water.
You are welcome in this place. Yeah. We will call your name. We will call your name.
Living water,
Come and
holy
be
water,
with
living water, holy water,
us.
living water,
Come and be
holy water,
with
living water, holy water, living water,
Come and
holy
be
water,
with
living water, holy water, living water,
Come and
holy
be
water,
with
living water, living water.
Your love is not in vain. Your sacrifice is not in vain. We will call your name. I know there's a sweet, sweet spirit in this place. And I know it's the spirit of our ancestors.
Living water,
Come and be
holy water,
with
living
us.
water, holy water, living water,
Come and be
holy water,
with
living water, holy water.
us.
Seek the truth, speak the truth. Good love, right on. Reciprocity, live the truth,
Come and
be the truth.
with
Good love, justice, reciprocity, living water, holy water, 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 living water, holy water.
Ashe.
Ooh, Ashe, beautiful, beautiful. Those are most powerful words, the most powerful prayer. Come and be with us,
Ashe.
Holy One. I
Ashe.
mean, come and be with us. And with, let that kind of marinate and simmer in our hearts and our souls as we move on to the next portion of this today's service. And right now we're going to do something a little bit different in a sense, not different, but I want right now call on my brother, Brother Katabasi, if he could come and share with us a bit of his spoken genius. Brother Katabasi, are you there? Could you share this morning?
I am here, and thank you, M.I.T. Sydney, for that. It's a real pleasure, as always, to be able to come before the community and to share some poetry, Katabazi style poetry. But before I proceed, I just want to say that let us continue to hold up all of our members in prayers as we go through the day and through the week, because there's so much pain and suffering out there that we can't have too many prayers at this time. I want to do a couple of moderate size poems for you today. And I like to recite my poetry in a type of continuous flow. So between the first poem and the second poem, I won't stop for an introduction, but I'll go right to the second piece. But initially, the two poems that I would do, the first poem is called The Community, and the second poem is called Yearning Heart. And so they're kind of diverse poems, but I hope you enjoy them. Out of the dark and murky waters, battered refugees rose up, lifting themselves in the glow of a rising sun. Two forward-thinking refugees planted seeds of the imperial scepter, nourished it, and watched it grow. It grows today, we'll say, the way. Then M.I.T descended with enveloping wings, surrounding the refugees, igniting restoration, vanquishing fear, ignorance, and superstition. Enlightened refugees trod on. Be strong for the next generation. Increase their meditation for a better revelation upon creation. Oh, yearning heart, pulsating mind, calm thyself, restore their balance. Embrace truth, that barometer for measuring since the beginning of times. Oh, bring her into being. Don't let the crocodiles drag the people away. The water's edge is far away, yet the predators strike. The people cry out in pain and suffering, but the turned away face where indifference prevails, with salivating jaws dripping with capitalistic possibilities. Oh, beneficent one, don't let the crocodiles drag the people away. Air is to the nostrils as water is to root, nourishing, sharing the essence. Inhalation brings life. Air-filled lungs, steady heartbeat, sight, touch, brain yields mind. Oh, one mind. Don't let the crocodiles drag the people away. Thank you, Jose.
Ashe.
Ashe, oh, thank you.
Deep.
Kalabasi.
Ooh.
Ashe. Thank you for bringing that powerful poem today. And we always love whatever you bring us, and keep on bringing it. So today we're going to have a few more shout outs before we move on to our historical tribute today. And we're all, I know I'm full. I'm just so full, and I'm so thankful for this community. But as we come today and being mindful of so many that are going through stuff, we want to just lift up a few more names. Mama Fu is with us. We have our sister Aziza's with us today, in spite of everything she's going through. She's here. Sister Shambalia is here today. Thank you for being here with us. And the Rahotep family, we're lifting you up. And then Sister Ikena is here today. And we're all praying for you, Sister Ikena. I know you're just on the main line, just keeping Zinzi lifted. And we're so thankful for you to be here today. And Sister Celeste is here. She has taken over a lot of the responsibility of keeping WOW going, and I'm so appreciative of her. I'm so appreciative of her and her work and everything she contributes to our community. And at this time, we're going to move on to this next favorite time of, we'll say, I do the favorites. I have my favorites too. Everything's my favorite, but one of my favorite ladies is bringing in all of you my favorites. I hope I'm your favorite too. Mama Latrice is coming with the historical tribute today. We're excited. I am excited. And this sister, she does so much for so many. I'm in awe of her. And you know, I've learned as I've grown as a woman that you don't measure a woman by her height, her size. You just don't measure a woman, because, you know, we can be so powerful in different size packages and different size spirits that you just don't want to assume based on anything about a woman who she is, because she's a powerful woman. She brings it. So we're honored to hear you today, Mama Latrice. Come on with it.
Thank you, Mama Connie. I want to ask permission from the elders to speak before I begin.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Yes, let us hear you.
Yes.
Okay, so y'all know we managing a lot, and technology sometimes tries to limit us being great. And I have a toddler, so we're gonna work it out in the mix. But I want to thank y'all. I just want to ask for grace, because this is the way that Spirit brought these things to me. So I'm making a lot of connections, not talking about just one thing. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And if y'all can let me know if you can see it. You can see it?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
And so this is to kind of keep me on track. For those of you who have not met me in person, I think what Mama Connie may have been alluding to is my stature. I am 4'11" and under 100 pounds. So that's hence the small package. But so this slide basically is just asking us to embrace the magic that is within us. Again, I'm putting a couple of topics together, but this is the way that Spirit gave it to me. So I'm hoping that it all makes sense when I put it together for y'all. So the historical tribute today is going to be talking about how we've been freeing us, and we know this, you know, as a community, but it is important, I think, to highlight our victories and triumphs. So I'll be talking about a few lesser-known women-led slave revolts, the Kembahi River Raid, and then the Kembahi River Collective, and then I'll tie that into the importance of self-care as community care as we work towards liberation. So just to get us centered, I have just a few seconds of Nina Simone, which feels appropriate, considering that a lot of the slave revolts took place on the water, and also in thinking about the Ma'afa and the Middle Passage and those that endured that to bring us all here. So. So we're gonna jump right in. Oops. Oh my goodness, technology. 1 second, y'all.
Beautiful.
So
Beautiful.
far, right? So far?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it's gonna
that
be
was a sneak peek. Okay, here we go. Let's try again. Okay, so we'll go back one more slide, I think. Oh no, it's going all the way forward. Okay, has Mercury in retrograde started yet? Does anybody know? All right, so facts. So for every 1 of 10 voyages, a slave revolt was attempted. And revolts were never easy, but a slave ship in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, it would have been considered a suicide mission. And yet many of our ancestors chose liberation and death, and they were equally determined to take their captors with them to the bottom of the ocean. Upon boarding the slave ships, all the Africans were put below deck while the ships were near the coast. And this was in an attempt to avoid what they called the dreaded cutoff. So cutoffs were attempts by other Africans, local folks, right, to attack the slave ships, to raid them, and then to try to rescue fellow Africans that were on board. Unfortunately, most of the cutoffs were unsuccessful, but that did not stop our ancestors from attempting, and it did not stop slavers from trying to be strategic and crafty, right, about leaving the coast to try to mitigate this and the potential impact. I started reading this book. I'm not really big on graphic novels, but y'all know that I also have a preteen, and so in my attempt to connect with him, we have to find material that we can both engage in. And I found this book, which is called Wake, The Hidden History of Women-Led Slave Revolts by Rebecca Hall, and it is fascinating. And so I'm really big on research and rabbit holes and all of the different ways that information can come to us. And I was fascinated when I got into this story because they started talking to the statisticians and the historians, and they were looking for patterns, right? So the folks that study the data, that look at the quantitative numbers, because our qualitative stories are not always recorded like they have the numbers, right? That's the data that they're going off of. And they couldn't find a clear pattern as to why there would be a revolt on one ship and not another. And then there was this anomaly, not really an anomaly, but this interesting fact that kind of popped out of that research, which is that the more women on board a slave ship, the more likely there was to be a revolt. And so Rebecca Hall in her book emphasizes that point and actually goes into the archives in the US and in England to try to find more information and try to find stories. And so in this book, 2 of the revolts that I'll be mentioning today come from this book. But again, she emphasizes the more women on board a slave ship, the more likely there would be that a revolt would occur. So another fact to highlight is once the boats and the ships were away from the coast, women and young children were allowed on the quarterdeck, mostly without physical restraints. And important to again highlight that women, children, and men seized every opportunity to resist and seek liberation. So I have some thoughts about why women and the number of women on board impacted the number of possible attempts at revolt. And so I think some of it has to do with the way that women communicate and organize. I think probably intuition and mother wit comes into play, the ability to inspire and to pour into others, the strength that is often underestimated, and then also highlighting how we roll in community, right? We don't all have to speak the same language, but the melanin is the thing that connects us. And I want to believe that there's a collective protection for the divine feminine that would have had folks really seeking liberation in these ways as soon as there was means and opportunity. So, as I said earlier, we know that we have been freeing us. Here are a list of just a few of our women warriors and female warriors who have done that through the ages, just a few. And some of these, a lot of these are US based because I'm from the United States, but as a Pan-African, you know, we've got some other folks sprinkled in as well. So there are countless others, and we know this to be true. We may not know these stories, but we can honor the sacrifice. So the first revolt that I want to talk about happened in January 24th, 1708 in Newton, which is now Elmhurst, Queens. So, you know, this is while New York, or the area of New York, would have been an English colony. There was a revolt that resulted in the statutory framework that shaped slave control and also a crucial linchpin in turning New York into a society with slaves into a slave society. So there was an enslaved man by the name of Indian Sam and a Negro wench or a Negro fiend, she is unnamed in the record, who were able to persuade a few other enslaved people from a nearby farmhouse to seize their freedom and liberation. And they did this late in the night. And in doing so, they killed their enslavers, their tormentors, the Hallett family, and that included all 5 members of the family, the husband, the pregnant wife, and the children. They were found the next morning along with the 2 collaborators from the local farm. They were all arrested, tried, condemned, and executed. And I meant to give a trigger warning before I started. Some of this descriptions are graphic, but the men were hanged and the woman was burned at the stake for treason. This comes from a law in England in 1352 that the punishment for treason, which is a crime against the state, was burning at the stake. And so for a woman to kill her master or her husband was considered killing one's natural lord, and that was deemed a crime against the state. So again, we may not know the stories, but we can imagine the why, and we can honor the sacrifice. In 1712 in New York, a few enslaved Africans took a blood oath and they decided to burn down a building, and then when the white people came to extinguish the fire, they shot them and then they fled. After a trial, 27 people were executed. 1 woman was with child and her execution was suspended. She was imprisoned to await the birth of her child, and that was basically to protect the slaver's property. A total of 4 women were tried. Sarah and Abigail were found guilty. Lily and Ambo were found non-guilty. And then 1 woman, we don't know whether it was Sarah or Abigail, whoever was pregnant at that time, languished in prison likely for 8 years. The paper trail of the governor who is seeking a pardon from Queen Anne goes cold, and it disappears in 1720. And her last known whereabouts as of June 22nd, 1715, that's 3 years after the revolt, were prison. And so the question is like, well, why did they do it? Again, we can imagine their whys. What I found particularly blistering about the record was the official testimony on record in the trial documents is, having nothing else to say than what she previously said, no further information is noted. So we don't know why, other than that fact that they were sick and tired of being sick and tired and wanted their freedom, which is plenty. But the fact that something so pivotal that would impact the laws in that place, right? Their stories weren't even, they didn't even have enough decency to record their stories or their why. So according to the recorded outcome of the trial, some of the 27 folks were burnt, others were hanged or hung. 1 was broken on the wheel, and then 1 was hung alive in chains in town. They wanted to make, as they often do, examples and public examples to try to dissuade us to seek our liberation and freedom. And still, no matter how they harmed us, our people continue to plot for liberation and resistance. So I want to introduce y'all to the Kembahi River Collective. Some of you may know them. They were formed in 1974 in Boston, and they are a group of female freedom fighters. I want to share a little bit from their manifesto, and I have a few bits of their manifesto sprinkled throughout the presentation, just more or less as a love letter. So they define themselves as feminists, and they are lesbian. They feel solidarity with progressive Black men, and they do not advocate for the fractalization of white women. That white women who are separatists demand. They understand that our situation as Black people necessitates that we have solidarity around the fact of race, which white women, of course, do not have to have with Black men unless it is the negative solidarity as racial oppressors. We struggle together with Black men against racism, and while we also struggle with Black men about sexism. So a lot of us are knowledgeable about the patriarchy, and when we are operating outside of the divine feminine, we can see that things definitely get all out of balance, and we are not operating within M.I.T. We can operate within systems that actually don't forward all of our liberation, but can mean oppression for all of us. So my basic premise is, until you do right by Black women, like nothing that happens globally is going to be right. And when Black women are free, if Black women were free, it would necessitate that everyone would have to be free, since our freedom would necessitate the destruction of all systems of oppression with love. As culture keepers, as the ones who have the ability to bring forth life, it has to be about our collective liberation, but we know that when women advance in society and when women are free, especially Black women, that all of society does well. All of the gains of civil rights are on the backs of Black folks. Black women are inherently valuable, that our liberation is a necessity, not as an adjunct to someone else's, may be because of our need as human persons for autonomy. We realize that the only people who care enough about us to work consistently for our liberation are us. Our politics evolve from a healthy love for ourselves, our sisters, and our community, which allows us to continue our struggle and work. So getting to the Kembahi River Raid, which I, again, just love to fall into rabbit holes of information. June 2nd, 1860, after the Civil War began, Governor John Andrew from Massachusetts asked Harriet Tubman to help the Union Army, and she did. She served in several roles. Her knowledge of roots and herbs helped her while serving as a nurse to both soldiers and escaped enslaved Africans. The Army also recruited her to serve as a scout and to build a spy ring in South Carolina, sorry y'all. She developed contacts, again, relationships, right, with enslaved Africans and Black water pilots who traveled the area's rivers, and they knew about the enemy positions and the troop movements. Confederate forces had actually planted mines in the Kembahi River, and she and her allies were able to locate each and every one. This is an account of the actual events. So after blowing their whistles to signal escaped slaves, the gunboat dispatched rowboats to pick up runaways. I never saw such a sight, Tubman later recalled. Sometimes the women will come with twins hanging around their necks. It appears I never saw so many twins in my life. Bags on their shoulders, baskets on their heads, and young ones tagging along behind, all loaded. Pigs squealing, chickens screaming, young ones squealing. And it quickly became clear that there wasn't going to be enough space in the rowboats to transport all the people at once. And folks started to get afraid that they were going to be left behind. Some of them held onto the boats because they feared that the gunboats wouldn't wait for them. And so an officer stepped in and asked Harriet Tubman to calm the people. She actually stood on the bow of the boat and sang an abolitionist theme, right? She sang to her people because she knew their language and was in community with them. And then the panicked people started to shout glory in response to her song, and the river boats were able to unload the first batch of escapees and then return for more. Harriet Tubman says, I just kept on singing until all were brought aboard. By the time the Confederate forces learned of the raid, much of the damage had already been done. Hundreds of slaves, including women and children, were able to escape. And a company of Confederate troops were sent to challenge the raids, but they were not successful. They managed to only stop one slave from escaping by killing her. So 700 people were able to escape, and about 100 of those ended up joining the Union Army. And so the Kembahi River raid is the only raid led by a woman in American history. And I want to just offer self-care as community care. So this is where the magic comes in to tie it all together. Audre Lorde has a quote that I adore, which is, caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it's self-preservation, and it's an act of political warfare. And then the question is, okay, so how can it free us? If we embrace ourselves, if we lean into caring for ourselves to be able to care for community, how can that free us? So I have a few thoughts of examples through self-care. And in thinking about Harriet Tubman, this is how I think it might have gone down. So Harriet suffered from debilitating seizures and spells due to a head injury that she obtained as a young woman after she was intervening to prevent a fellow African from being recaptured into slavery. Knowing that as one of the things that she was dealing with and was on her plate, right? She had to listen to her body and rest when needed. She prayed, she moved in alignment with spirit. She embraced her mother wit and intuition. She spent time in nature, observing and calling on the teachings of her father. She asked for help when she needed it from others. She used herbs to heal herself and others. And she used her skills. This I just recently found out. She actually had to use her skills baking cakes and gingerbread and confections and domestic work to raise money to sustain herself.
I want a different one now.
Okay, and to continue her freedom fighting. So, using what you have to get what you need and where you need to be, and then investing in others She built and established a community for herself and others once she was free, and continued to go back to free others. So I just imagine the ways that the other queen mothers and freedom fighters would have had to pour into themselves to endure, thrive, and speak life into each other. And then I imagine the ways that they poured into each other for our collective liberation, thinking about all the prayers that they prayed and all the petitions for us to all be here, to be free and in our right minds. And that leads me to Kujichagulia, being able to define ourselves. I believe that we are magical, but we are also real. And so here's another quote by Audre Lorde. If I didn't define myself for myself, I would be crunched into the people's fantasies for me and eaten alive. We have to be able to define ourselves on our own terms. Here's another quote from the Kembahi River Raid. And this just talks about the way that the world sees us, right? So it may be obvious and it may sound simplistic, but it's apparent that no other ostensibly progressive movement has ever considered our specific oppression as a priority or worked seriously for the ending of that oppression. We find that even in Black Lives Matter, right? Folks are trying to change the conversation. They're trying to make it into something that it's not. All lives can't matter if Black lives don't matter. So in this other part of the quote, we just talk about like the pejorative stereotypes, right, attributed to Black women. And so I have this quote from The Color Purple Huthis, because we know that we're not a monolith, and we know that they don't get to define who we are. We get to define ourselves. So again, dispelling the myth of the magical Negro, we do want to honor our magic and our juju and also embrace our realness. So just because we're magical doesn't mean that we're not real. And then the ability to document and tell our collective stories, read our ancestors' great works, honor their lived experience, continue their good works, and to commit to heal from our traumas and to seek growth and transformation. Because if we're silent about our pain, they will kill you and they will say that you enjoyed it. And that comes from Zora Neale Hurston. And then also, I want to ask, as you think about your liberation, to really just love on your natural Black self. Be extra if you feel it, for those that never got that opportunity, that had to be upon some respectability stuff and not walk in their full joy, whatever that meant for them. Also, just highlighting let your no be no. And then calling a thing and celebrating us. Even our Black women's style of talking and testifying is Black language about what we have experienced, and it resonates. It's both cultural and political. We might use our position at the bottom, however, to make a clear leap into revolutionary action. And this, again, comes from the Kembahi River Collective. So I ask that we would pour libation for all of those freedom fighters, all of those women who laid down their lives, all of those communities who stood with those women. And there's a list here. I won't read everyone, but just calling into the circle the beloved ancestor and the slave revolt leader who was unnamed in 1708. The slave revolt participants, Sarah, Abigail, Lily, and Amba in 1712. Our beloved ancestor that perished at the Kembahi River Raid, and those freed enslaved Africans in the Kembahi River Raid, and the transitioned member of the Kembahi Collective, Barbara Smith, and countless others. And so I will pour libation and play this last little bit of the song. All right, y'all. Thank you.
Ashe. Excellent, Mama.
Ashe. I'm just kind of floating this out, Ty. That seems like a message somewhere in there for a Sunday at some point in time. I'm just saying. Boy, what a wonderful, wonderful presentation. I'm writing down notes, taking notes, and Connie has a phone camera taking pictures and snapshots, and we're gonna put something together. So with that, I mean, what more can I say other than just bring back on sounds of my eye. I can't top it. Only one can top that would be yourself. So
Mama Latrice, that was just so complete. That was so complete. I can barely talk now. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll drop the link for the slide deck for those that want it in the chat, and you can follow up on some of those resources. Okay.
All right.
Wonderful. I just want to say that that's my wife. Now, I don't know if technology is going to cooperate with us right here.
I know,
but
I
even
know
if it
about
doesn't,
that.
that's my wife.
Yeah.
And then about to come sing again. Woo! What can I say?
What
can I say?
We'll see. We're going to see if this track plays.
Woo! All right.
All right.
Come on, y'all.
We're
You
gonna
know
try
you bring it.
If not, Latrice is going to sing
a cappella.
Either or, we're honored. We embrace you.
Yeah, hit the space
Okay.
bar.
So can y'all give us a thumbs up if you can hear it?
Okay.
We'll do.
You got to touch on the thing first. Man.
We can't see a
No.
thumbs up.
Okay. Can y'all hear it?
Yeah.
Can we get more volume?
Children of the sun, know that your time comes. The future is now and here. Woman, man, take a stand, release your fears. The people are ready to rise. See the degree of what it is to the skies. Well, when all is said and done, all is said and done, we will win the one. We'll win again. Children of the sun, know your time. Know your time comes. We've all got work to do. Let's all get free in destiny and not within you. To Simba, Simbi, spread love. Love, love, love. Children of the sun, know that your time comes. All is said and done, we will win loved ones. Love, love, love. We are the future. We're the future now, oh yeah. We are the future. Love, 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 love. We are the future. Yes, we are the future. Loved ones, children of the sun. We are the future. Your time comes. We all got work to do. Let's all get free, invest in me and not within you. All our ancestors are behind us. If we listen and if we choose to follow my heart, we'll see this through. Love. We are the future. We're the future and you know it, yeah. We are the future. We gon' set us all free. Children of the sun.
Beautiful,
beautiful.
There we go. Now they can hear you. All right, fantastic. That was beautiful. And I just sit back and wonderment as I figured, you know, when you do a song, I mean, when you write down the words, like we saw Baba Katabazi, you know, doing that, you know, some spoken word and had some profound words. That's one level. And then to turn back around and have to write out music is a whole nother level. And then to incorporate that and put the voices and everything together, man, y'all are just bad. Sounds of my eye. That's all I can say. Sounds of my eye.
I'm just glad y'all can hear us.
Yes, right. As we move along in our service, I'm sorry, you about to say something? Okay, as we move along in our service, this again is one of the most important parts, the profound part, which is the time when we give back. As we see that everyone has been giving. I don't know that Brother Baba David and Mama Latrice have anything else. Because for me, they just laid it out there with the song, with the tribute. They put their souls into it, and we can go back and we can look at the libation that was given by Baba Malik and the prayer that was led by Minister Alicia, that everyone has been giving all that they have. And that this is the point in our service where we give what we have. I say that we reach into our storehouse and bring out something to share with the community. So with that said, I'm going to call on Baba Ustadi and Mama Afua, if you can come forth and lead us in the libation. Ashe.
Greetings in the name of Amun-Ra, wishing you health and prosperity. This is the time for the Litany of Sacrifice. We give thanks to see another day all together. Save us, O Holy One, by your name. Vindicate us by your might. Hear my prayer, divine protector. Listen to the words of my mouth. How can we repay the Holy One for the gift that has been given to us? We will lift up the cup of salvation and call upon the gods of our ancestors. We will fulfill our vows to our Creator in the presence of all our people. Gladly we bring our sacrifices to you. We praise your name, O Amun-Ra, for it is good. Moja, unity. To strive for and maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race.
Kuji Chakulia, self-determination. We shall define, name, create, and speak for ourselves.
Ujima, collective work and responsibility. To build and maintain our community together and make our brothers and sisters' problem ours to solve together.
Ujamaa, cooperative economics. Together we shall build and maintain our own businesses and together profit from them.
Nia, purpose. To make our collective vocation the building and develop our community in order to restore our people to our traditional greatness.
Kuumba, creativity. We shall do as much as we can in any way we can to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than when we inherited it.
Money. To bleed with all our hearts and our God, our parents, teachers, our leaders, and the
righteousness and victory of our struggle. Ashe.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, we give thanks to all of those who have given to help grow Wosei financially. We give thanks for all of those who gave their time, their talent. We give thanks for all of those who attended class participated in our services, and look forward to seeing a larger WOSE. We give thanks. I say ashe, ashe, ashe. You can see where you can donate to Oakland and Sacramento. Please do as your heart feels right. This concludes the litany. Asante.
Ashe, ashe. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Babu Stadi and Mama Fua. Thank you for that yeah, that call to call the service. Put in what you can. We really do appreciate that. Now, as we move on in the program, this is again one of my favorite parts of our service. I call it a program, and I apologize for that. Our service, because this is our service that we give to our community. I say it's not a program like you pay and go and sit down at the Paramount or whatever. No, this is everybody involved. This is that Bantaba. This is that circle. This is everybody coming together. I say, that's what this is. And this is like one of the favorite parts. This is when someone out of our community, someone within our community, within WOSE or outside of WOSE, comes in to bring a message. And we have been really, I think, blessed to have someone, this particular brother, come and bring today's message. This is my brother, M.I.T, Brother Bill, and he's affectionately called the professor, if you ever sit and listen to Brother Malik. And before I bring him, call him in, there's in the book of Antashaki on page 64, it says, examine every matter that you may understand it. Do not say, I am learned, but rather set yourself to become wise. Be gentle and patient, then your character will be beautiful. It is in the development of the character that instruction succeeds. Learn the structure and functioning of the sky. Learn the structure and functioning of the earth. And this word, no words have better been written to describe the character, the personality of the brother coming forth. I love him with all my heart. Ladies, community, let us give a round of applause and appreciation to our brother, M.I.T, Brother Bill. Ashe.
Thank you. Brother Sidney, thank you so much. Here we are, January 9th. Welcome, WOSE. Last Sunday, Minister Malley asked us, what's really new in this new year? Great-Grandbaba Tai brought us the spirit of Septepi, reminding us through our ancestors' examples that Ra blesses us anew each day, each year, with the opportunity for some first greatness. Ashe. With the new year started all around us, what's new for WOSE? How do we begin? We begin by taking a new look at what's first for us. We begin with our first ideal. I will not commit sin. We begin with our first virtue. I will control my thoughts. We begin with our first principle, umoja. So why is our first ideal first? Why do we begin by saying, I will not commit sin? Because that small word sin marks a huge boundary of righteousness. It is intentionally broad in general, but y'all know what it means. Even when it's labeled as a negative confession, you know it means a positive commitment to truth, justice, harmony, and right order. You know it means keeping the sacred truly sacred. You know it's speaking to God in us and through us. That's how we do it. Ashe?
Ashe.
Our ancestors wrote and preserved those words for us. They knew that life is always complicated. And even when those other 41 ideals seem like competing ideals, we must choose what is right and never betray the sacred. Yeah, we're human. We will make mistakes, but we need to lighten our hearts daily by doing Ma'at daily. That first ideal speaks to our overall commitment to Ma'at, and the other ideals outline how.
Yes.
Okay, so not committing sin summarizes generally what the other ideals spell out pointedly. But the first of our 10 virtues, controlling our thoughts, that's most critical because without it, nothing else we want is possible.
Yes.
Just a few weeks ago, our MITs were rereading 2000 Seasons together. And naturally, we each took a slightly different view from Dr. Armour's writing. It is beautiful, florid, wonderful writing. But one passage got a unanimous reaction. Brother Armour wrote how the mind of the Askari leader was so completely controlled, he killed his own grandmother, his own mother's mother, for an enslaver who was already dead. That's what we mean by controlling our own thoughts. That underscores why controlling our thoughts is a first priority. As we lose control of our thoughts to destroyers in ways that range from violent to subtle, we destroy ourselves and destroy our families. You know how Dr. Woodson said it, when you control a man's thinking, you don't have to worry about his actions. Dr. Woodson wrote that in the 30s. How do we use that insight today? Well, lots of things have changed in 90 years, but people haven't. 2022 or 1422. Haters gonna hate, liars gonna lie. After 600 years, we can't even pretend to be surprised. And it's not like we don't know how to deal with the lies. Stop listening. You know the real from the unreal. Stop listening. You gotta get that straight. Long before we were dragged to America, long before blonde showed up in Africa, our people had to deal with information and misinformation. And they wrote it down in the Hosea. A wise man is one who knows what goes on around him. And a wise master who asks advice, his house stands forever. But a wise man seeks a friend. It's a fool who seeks an enemy. Ashe, it's a fool who seeks an enemy. So how do we deal with lies? It's called imani. To steer clear of lies, we need to believe with all our hearts in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders. We need to seek their wisdom, understand it, internalize it, grow it, refine it, use it again, and pass it on.
Yes.
Now, occasionally, other folks like to make a big show of renouncing a few liars. But you tell me when they seize the liar's money. Tell me when they seize the liar's megaphone. Right now, I'm not holding my breath for them to act right. We're just working our own black selves. We need to control our thoughts. Even when COVID does what it does, we'll still have a pool of lies to live in. We got to boost our immunity. We need to control our thoughts. And the thoughts of our community are in the words we share. Yeah, the others will try to distract us with lies, catchy lies, which you call clickbait. But our scholars, like Toni Morrison, already told us, we need to know the real enemy and know their serious function is distraction.
Yes.
They try to flood the world and drown us in lies so we can't even find the truth. But you know, our people have been making away from no way for a long time. As Ross said, I found no place on which to stand. I formed it from the desire in my heart.
Say that.
I laid the foundation through my eye. Many were the forms which issued forth from the commands of my mouth. We'll say, we need to lay the foundation for our people to stand based on our ideals and our principles. We need to create the forms using our words, the commands of our mouths. Still, knowing better is just the start of doing better. And we can't do that alone. So we need our first principle. The first of the Nguzo Saba, Umoja. Again, why is Umoja first? Why is unity so important? Professor Armour talks about that. He guides us to beauty and says, there is no beauty but in relationships. Nothing cut off by itself is beautiful. But I'm hearing Professor Arma, I'm hearing Kwame Ture, who said, in effect, there's no power but in unity. No one cut off by themselves is powerful. And our oppressors knew that too. As they structured rules to secure their power, their very First Amendment assured, they can gather, assemble, confer, and organize any way they want. They can say, print, publish, and share anything they want. They can relate to their gods any way they want. But on the flip side, they did everything possible to stop Africans communicating or unifying. And they wrote what they called the Black Codes, to outlaw Africans assembling, to outlaw Africans reading or writing, to outlaw Africans worshiping any but white gods in white ways. That was not random. They made precisely those laws to stop African collaboration, to stop African words from visioning and planning new worlds, to stop African power. Brother Garvey really made it plain. He said, get organized. Keep separated, you will be exploited, robbed, and killed. Get organized and you will compel the world to respect you. So how do we, in 2022, make real and lasting progress for our people? It's right there in the Hosea. Be diligent as long as you live. Do not lose the daily opportunity to increase that which you have. Diligence produces gains, and gains do not endure when diligence is abandoned. To make the lasting progress we want, we must be diligent in applying our principles. We'll say, we're here today on something called Zoom, which runs on something called internet, neither of which existed when we were born. But our grandchildren have only known a world with those things. As technology shifts us away from the forms our parents knew, we must lay a new foundation for our people based on our ideals and our principles. We can't do that all at once, but even now, we can celebrate our grandparents' victories. By their strength and diligence, the Black Codes are now repealed. We can now assemble. We can speak together, we can write to each other, and we can read our own words. Together, we can speak our future in our words and weave our mat of words into plans of action. As Minister M.I.T reminded me, even our cherished Hosea didn't come from just one place. Maulana Karenga studied and translated and researched and edited and conferred with other scholars, conferred with Jacob Carruthers, Theophile Abenga, and Dr. Ben. You think all those proud Africans instantly agreed on every word? I don't think so. What did happen is their diligence produced gains that endure for us. What did happen is they diligently wove our ancestors' words, the book of Ptah-hotep, the Shabaka stone, the book of coming forth by day. Those books were written over centuries. So when we say our way is not a random path, our way begins with coherent understanding, we need to know it's also based on that diligence producing lasting gains for us. We know our scholars wove our ancestors' words and their own words into a mat for our foundation. So what are we gonna do? The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna type our names and emails into the chat. You can send it to me or you can send it to everyone. And in that one step, we project our unity today forward. We begin to weave our words together. As we come together, we weave our words with the words of Ra. Where liars have left no place to stand, we will form it in the desire of our hearts. We will lay the foundation through M.I.T. Harambe!
Harambe.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Harambe. Harambe.
Harambe.
Way too.
Harambe. Harambe.
Harambe. Thank you, Brother Bill.
Harambe.
Way too.
Great.
Ashe.
See why he's been given the title. I'm not gonna call it the name. It is a title, the professor. He breaks it down and makes it plain. And it's the point. I'm gonna reach out to those who are sitting out listening. We have like 52 people out there. I don't know how many people are members of WOSE, but if you're not, I think now is the time to raise your hand and say, I want to join that movement. I heard M.I.T. Brother Bill, I heard the professor lay it out there that it's the time to control your thoughts. And as Kwame Ture used to say, organize, organize, organize. That was his thing. Organize. Baba Ustadi, am I right? So now it's time to begin to organize. Let us join in together. So as I look around, if you can put your hand up, if you could, there's one hand up right there. I see it's a Nefret.
It's Fifi, the first time my eyes.
Blessing.
Yes. I'm actually getting ready. I'm getting dressed, getting prepared for another. I have another session.
But the chat says.
Well, let's get that information down. We have one. Is there one more? Is there one more?
Welcome to the system. Welcome.
Thanks.
There's someone else out there that wants to join our sister. There's someone out there who says, I want to join. As Mama Latrice had talked about, seems like that the resistance to oppression started with Black females. So this sister has raised her hand. So who wants to join this sister as she revolts against this chained mind? As they say, we're looking for a back door. If no one's not there, we create a back door to come in the back door. We ain't there no more. Come in. Come on now.
Can I step in real quick and ask the sister who just joined? I just sent you a private text asking for your email address. Would you please give me your email address so we can contact you later this week?
Okay, I just sent it.
Thank you very much.
And we are definitely looking forward.
And I'm in Sacramento.
Oh,
I'm in
all right.
I'm in the Sacramento area. Yeah, I've been looking. So I'm a sacred woman practitioner. So I'm in the Queen Afua tribe, and I have been looking for a community in the Sacramento area because everyone I know is in the East Coast or is in Southern Cal who is following the Kemetic lifestyle. And so someone told me about WOSE, and I was like, okay, let me study. And I am so happy to be here. It is an honor to have found a home. So give thanks.
Yes, you're in the right place, sister. You're in the right place.
Welcome.
Welcome. We're looking forward to it. So with that, so we have one more soldier. We have one more warrior. We have one more healer. We move forward. So at this point in time, if we can have Minister Makalisi lead us in the our national anthem, our Black national anthem, in the only way that you know how to do it, which is the Minister Makalisi way, putting that magic touch on it. Come on, Minister.
Before he does that,
yes.
Before he does that, this is Sister Sugar D. I was wanted to put out there that I'm very, very interested in the membership committee and what they're doing, and I'd like to be a part of it. So I just want to put it out there.
Okay, my sister, thank you. I coordinate, this is Baba Tai, I coordinate that committee. I will be contacting you this week as well.
Thank you so much.
Well, now, I'd like to add one thing before we do the lift every voice. We heard lots of prayers today for people who are having medical illness problems that if I'm recalling, we overlooked one, with something with our head, not our hearts. Minister Malley who shared with us last week that he had a diagnosis for cancer, prostate cancer. So let's remember him in our prayers as we go forward this week.
And Minister Lizelle. Minister Lizelle.
Oh, yes, indeed. Minister Lizelle, continue to fight off that Parkinson's disease. So we really need to remember him. Ashe.
Ashe.
And Professor Menu Ampin's mom.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, she was called. But we need to remember her. Ashe. All right. Lift every voice and sing. Ashe. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmony of our liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the glistening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. March on with Amin-Ra. March on in the spirit of March. March on with Septepi power every day, every hour. Then let's do all we can for truth and justice throughout this land. The sacred African way of Ujasa Nevashe. March on with Amin-Ra.
Ashe.
Ashe.
All right, and as we prepare to bring this portion of our service to a close, we will hold each other up, and we hold hands physically, spiritually, metaphorically. We hold hands and lay our hearts together on one, as it would be done in my grandfather's church. As we talk about our ancestors, he would always, when he closed out, would sing something like this. Ra be with you. Ra be with you. Ra be with you until we meet again. And as we follow in the footsteps of our ancestors and call on that name that we've called on for countless years, we want to say, Amen.
Amin-Ra.
You are the
Ashe.
most beautiful people
Ashe.
on the
Ashe.
face of this
Ashe.
earth.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe.